come in, talk a little bit about personality, what we are, and how does a person find a relationship with God. What is the ultimate? Where are we at now? How does a person progress?
Okay.
Anybody can jump in.
A person progresses by making right choices, by making choices that are loving choices and that would be in accord with the best understanding an individual can have of what the will of God would be.
Okay, where do we find the information of what is loving and what is the will of God?
Well, I think that's in the Bible, John.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, I agree.
Christ-like.
Nothing different about Cayce
Okay.
and what's in the Bible, what's loving and what's the
It's
Word
kind of
God.
amusing. Mr. Cayce, of course, indicated in the readings and awake that reading the Bible was very important, and someone asked him, well, which one? You know, which edition, King James or what? He said, the one that you read, whichever one it is.
And the one that you live.
And the one that you
That's the
live.
important, the one that you live. He said, apply, apply, apply. And the constant admonition that came through, not self, always others. And you can't beat that for any religion.
When you die, Harvey, will you go to be with the Lord?
I don't think I progressed to the point of perfection that I will stay with the Lord. I'll go to the Lord. I certainly will be there. And I have no fears about that.
If you have not, what is perfection? What is this thing of perfection? Do you have to reach perfection before you can go to be with the Lord?
No, 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 no. The Lord is always with you. The Lord is always with you. But He wants us to progress to the point where the Bible says, be ye perfect as the Father in heaven is perfect. And we have to keep striving to become closer attuned. The motto of the ARE, for example, is manifest the love of God for God and man. And that simply means the great commandment, love the Lord with all thy heart, mind, and soul, and your neighbor as yourself. That's the motto of the ARE.
If a person doesn't do that, what will happen when he dies?
Well, I expect some people would think they'd go to hell.
Is that true or not?
No, not in our view, and not in Cayce's view.
Is there a hell?
There's a hell only. You make your own hell.
State of mind?
State of mind. And on the other side, those who believe in survival, someone once said that probably the best way to describe the immediate afterlife is there are certain levels of astral levels, and the soul after death is drawn to that particular sub-level that's best suited for his spiritual nature, where he fits. Where he fits. There's no punishment, but you learn that, look, this is what I didn't do on earth, you see. I've got to do something about this, and I got to improve and become closer attuned to follow the footsteps of Jesus.
So the person, if he's not perfect, if he does not follow the precepts of love, when he dies, he goes to a certain level, does he come back? Get another chance?
We believe they do. Now, this is, as I indicated to you before the show, whether you believe or I believe in reincarnation doesn't make me one whit better or worse than the guy who doesn't believe. It's simply a belief, but that is not really very relevant, you see.
But in your belief, even if the fellow doesn't believe it, it still happens to him.
Right.
Yes.
Okay, so, you know, he better believe it, is what you're saying, because eventually he's got to deal with it. How does that differ from the Buddhist karma?
It's a lot of difference.
Okay, in the sense of how are the records kept on your life? How will you know when you've lived perfectly or good enough to make it to the highest level?
The records are kept in your own subconscious mind.
Okay, do you know that right now? What level you're at?
No, not
Someone
consciously.
once said, the proof of how far you've gone spiritually is how patient you are. And that's a pretty good yardstick. How patient are you? When you're driving down the street in your car and some guy makes a left-hand turn ahead of you, or he's not fast enough to get across that light, if you're not patient, you can tell yourself, look, I got a long way to go. That's a practical aspect of it.
So in a sense, when you die, you're going to find out.
You'll find out.
Not until then.
What lessons? Well, I think we all know. We all know when we're doing something wrong, John. We all know that. We don't have to wait to get on the other side.
Yeah, but in the sense of, if you've done something wrong, then you assume that you won't make it this time around.
Well, there's always... Go ahead, Hester.
I think it has to do with the whole outlook. of the entity, of the personality. You know, we came into this earth for a purpose. I believe we came to do certain things. And if we get sidetracked, if we do other things, if we work on our own desires and do as we want, I think that we have lost in this lifetime. And we come to find our way back to God. We come to work on certain things. We have to have a balance in our life. If someone has gone overboard, let's say eating. If you go completely overboard on eating, and that's your whole desire this life, you have got to learn balance somewhere.
Thank you for watching the program today. If you for people that aren't as wise as you are in these readings, and when they come and they say, okay, I'd like to arrive, I'd like to get as close to perfection as I can right now.
Follow Christ. Follow Christ in his steps. There is nothing that can lead you astray there. In fact, that's the only way.
Do you have to do it? Is it a do-it-yourself program?
No. You follow. He is the way.
But you have to do it.
But in the sense,
I have to do it. I have to through Christ. But you have to pray to God for help and pray for. This is a constant thing. We have to pray and read his word and meditate and try, which is having him speak to us.
Would it be like this if you came before God and God was to say, okay, here's my kingdom in back of me. Now, why should I let you in? What would you say?
Oh, well, I'm in one level. You know, Jesus said, in my house are many mansions. And they all are God's, the whole sphere, the whole universe is God's. There are many levels, and they are God's.
You see, our version is, and Cayce keeps saying this, and there are many people who believe this, there's always three interpretations to the Bible. One is the literal, one is the metaphysical, the other is the spiritual. Now you see, we get all fouled up, the various denominations, orthodoxy versus liberal and so forth, because we think there's only one way to interpret the Bible. Some people think it's only the metaphysical, some only the spiritual. You have to take the whole thing. And we think that we have to look at the Bible in every respect. This may have another meaning to it, a spiritual level that we're not quite consciously aware of yet. And I think we have to take that into
Harvey, when
consideration.
you write your wife a letter, are there three levels of meaning to your words? Or do you want your wife to catch one basic sense?
Don't you think when I write my wife a letter, however, that she'll read some things between the lines that I didn't put down there?
But the basic meaning will always be there, right?
The basic meaning, that's true.
Okay.
But, John, if you would read some of the things in the Bible, I'm not a Bible student, but I thoroughly believe in the Bible. It's an inspired book. But if you really take the Bible, chapter by chapter, verse by verse, there's so many contradictions in there, it's really confusing if you take it only on a literal sense.
I don't think so.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Well, I think we have to disagree. I really feel
Well,
that...
we'll disagree on that one, John.
I think we can disagree because...
someplace in the Bible
I think that you have a bigger problem when you take what actually was said, what the writers gave to us. They wrote it to real people in real situations. And when you go back and, you know, with all the textual criticism and with all of the impact of the research that we have today, in knowing the geography and the situations and the people that it was written to and how to define those words, I don't find it hard to come up with the